Hello, everyone. Welcome to my live chat. And today I've got the awesome Nikhil from Esteem. This is such a wonderful channel. And he's a booktuber, but he's also a composer. And yeah, just such a lively, energetic character in front of the camera. And yeah, you've got to check out his channel. So how are you doing, Nikhil? Tell me a little bit about yourself and tell me about maybe not just your booktube journey, but maybe your reading journey.
Sure.
How you got into horror eventually. So yeah, tell me about yourself.
Absolutely, Cliff. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been great getting to know you on this booktube space in the last 3 months since I've started the channel. And I gotta say, I really appreciate you also highlighting my channel early on, and that brought more eyes to the channel and kind of what I'm doing. So I'm just so grateful to you and the community that you've been a huge part of as well. So thanks so much for having me on. And
no, it's a pleasure.
yeah, it's really cool to speak to someone who specializes in horror books, because for me, horror books have been kind of a huge part of my reading journey. I remember when I was, gosh, I think I was 7 or 8, and I found my first Goosebumps book, and I started going to
Just can I interrupt you just for a second? If you hear some serious scratching in the background, it's not me.
Oh.
That's our dog Layla. She's sitting right here, and she's touching herself like you can't believe. So if you hear funny sounds coming on the camera, that is Layla. That's
no worries at all.
Settle, girl, settle. Okay, sorry, carry on.
I have that with my cats too. Sometimes they'll just jump up for no reason. They want to be part of the fun, right? So
yeah, they want to be there. Yeah. So sorry, what were you saying about Goosebumps?
Yeah, so I discovered Goosebumps by R.L. Stine, and those were great for kind of getting into both reading and also horror. A lot of them, there was the camera that comes to life, and anything it takes a picture of comes true, and it's always bad luck, or there's somebody wears a mask and it won't come off, or there's dead people coming back to life, all sorts of stuff. So I was super jazzed with reading those, and I collected every single one. Every time one would come out,
wow.
I remember going to Scholastic book fairs, and that was what I would beeline for all the time. Every time I had to order, books from the Scholastic catalog, I would always order those. So horror was a huge part of my reading experience at the time, and that was really all I was reading at the time. And then when I was 14 or so, I discovered Stephen King, and he kind of again stoked the flame of my passion for reading so much more. I remember reading Pet Sematary when I was 14, and it's one of those books where it really kind of made me realize, just what more out there is in horror. And obviously there's so many complex themes in that particular story, but that's really
it's actually my wife's favorite. That's my wife's favorite book as well. Salem's Lot.
Really? Oh,
yeah, that's her favorite Stephen King. Yeah, and she's read quite a bit of Stephen King.
Yeah, my sister actually just recently got into Stephen King, and that was the first one she read that made her want to read all Stephen King novels. Yeah. I think that's a great gateway.
Yeah, no, it is. I also had my first experience at about 14 with it.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. You have read it, eh?
Sorry, say that again.
You've read it?
I've read it. I actually tried. So after Pet Sematary, I was so blown away by the book, I decided to pick up it. And it felt very disturbing to me at that age, and so I was like, I think I'll put it down, and I read I think up to the part where that I don't want to spoil anything, but there's that couple that is walking down the way, and they get harassed by people, they're shouting homophobic sentiments at them, and
yes, no, it's a gay couple. Yeah, and it's quite a bad scene. It's quite a hectic scene. But is that as far as you got so far?
That's as far as I got that first time. And I was oh, that's it just felt a little intense for me at that age. So I put it down, and I picked it up again, I want to say during the pandemic, so 2020. And that was kind of when I just blazed through the whole thing in 3-4 days. I was just obsessed with that book, and it's
perfect time to read this, eh?
Oh, nice, yeah. Actually, so I read The Stand It was March of 2020, so I was reading it. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Damn
I
it.
just picked it up, and like a couple days after I picked it up, they declared officially it's a pandemic, and then the world started shutting down. So it's really funny trying to, also not funny, but also funny trying to read a book about a plague that wipes out 99.4% of the population or whatever it was. During that time. But
I can imagine.
No.
I can imagine reading it then.
100%. And
read it with your mask on. That might make it even more potent. Eh?
Right. Exactly.
Like, read this book.
It was funny reading it, like, and then the world is shutting down, and you see all these news reports with people wearing masks and stuff. Like I squeezed in a couple recording sessions right before lockdown. With the orchestra, and the orchestra footage came back, and everyone's wearing masks. It was just like a very weird time, very surreal time. And so it was just like interesting time to read that book for sure.
Yeah.
But
can I ask you about your booktube journey? But before I do that, can I just ask you, because the lighting is not great here, it's 6 o'clock. Can I just ask you if this helps? Can I ask you if this helps or not? Just give me a second.
Sure.
Yeah. Is that better or worse?
Yeah. No,
is that better?
Better. Yeah.
Or, yeah, not too bright. Is it okay?
No, not too bright.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's keep it at that.
Okay, cool.
Actually, before your booktube journey, should we say hello to some folks?
Yeah, let's do that.
And that's just one thing I have to tell you during this video. I say hello to people all the time. We take their questions, we take their comments.
Oh, great! Yeah,
it's part of the fun, eh? Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm recognizing some familiar faces in this live chat here. Hey, everyone.
So Alicia says, I won't be able to make a live chat, but I wanted to stop in and say I love Nikhil's channel.
Oh. Okay.
Also, yo. She loves it when I do that. I do that every time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, Alicia.
So then we got Kat. Hey, Kat. Good morning, Cliff and Anita. Can't wait to see Nikhil and hear what you'll be chatting about today. Yeah, we're going to have some fun today.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then we got Blue-Eyed Matt. I made it to another live stream. I made sure I was notified this time. Hey, Matt, good to see you here, man. Okay, and then we got Disquiet and Dragons. Yeah, because we had a bit of a hard time last night, I still have to actually see your video. Because you did a live. Yeah. You did a live today.
We did a live one, yeah, and it was my first one on the channel. So
is it on your channel?
It was on your channel, yeah.
Okay, so everyone that's watching needs to go to his channel, subscribe, and check out their live chat. Well, yeah. Oh,
totally. Yeah, it was a Cujo live stream we did.
Yeah. I saw the thumbnail, but like I say, we're not in any mood to do anything. Right. Yeah. Okay, so hi, Cliff and Nikhil. Hi, Vanessa. And William. Greetings.
Hey, William.
Good to see you. And my biggest fan, my wife.
Hey, Anita.
And then we got, hey, Kat. Okay, yeah, now she's just introducing to everyone. Nikhil gets gold stars for reading Stephen.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. He's the best.
Like you get your gold star. In your book, remember when you were like in primary school?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you get a gold star or a silver star.
I always took those so seriously
did you ever get that?
Oh, yeah. I always took those very seriously. Like, I really thought that like it meant something like big,
To have a star in your book. In your workbook. Okay. And then we've got Vanessa. I love Stephen King. Pet Sematary is great. It is my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
We talked a lot about Stephen King on his channel, but this is going to be an interesting chat, folks, because we're going to go to book adaptations and possibly music. So you need to stay tuned for that.
I love Rose Madder as well.
Yeah, Rose Madder is underrated, eh?
Totally, yeah.
Totally. I maybe at the end there with the supernatural stuff, I didn't buy in completely like my wife did. That's one of her favorites.
Oh, okay.
But the first 3/4 of the book is brilliant. And that husband is so psychotic. He is so psychotic and just the opening, isn't it brutal?
Oh, yeah. So
Opening to
horrifying.
that story. What happens to her?
I was reading I think it was an interview or something where Stephen King was talking about how after releasing Rose Madder, women came up to him to tell him like how much that helped them leave their abusive marriages and stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
amazing, powerful.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because she made a choice, a very, very difficult choice.
Mm-hmm.
Dangerous choice in her case.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we got my reasoning for loving horror media so much is that it's genre-less, infinite genres, because life is horror, comedic and dramatic. Yeah, life is horror.
That's brilliant.
People have to go through, and it helps you work through it. Hey, it's like horror actually. Reading books helps you go through what you go through in your daily life, because you can experience these things in a safe space. You agree? Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I think it's like if it was just about the supernatural or just about the horrific elements, I don't think it would captivate people as much as it does. Like, it's so much a grounded human story, or it's like a psychological story, or it's about the things that people do to each other. That's like one thing Stephen King does really well, I think. It's like he juxtapositions the supernatural with the everyday, the mundane, the real madness of being human,
Yeah, and we're actually going to tap into that later, because we both got a shared love. We got a shared love for Stephen King.
If you can
Both
tell.
of our favorite authors, yeah. Okay, so have either of you watched Storm of the Century? Yeah. Oh, just it's phenomenal. Have you watched it, Nikhil?
I actually haven't watched it, and I have the book. I have the screenplay sitting on my shelf, so it's there for me to read. But I haven't read it yet either. So
that is one thing I want to get hold of, the screenplay, because but the miniseries is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Got some question here for you, Nikhil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, William says, I just discovered that series on YouTube. And Blue Eyed Matt says, I just subscribed to Nikhil. Can't wait to explore. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
You must go through Stephen King videos. They are top class. And then we got Cats. Nikhil, do you have a favorite horror trope?
Oh, that's really tough, actually. I think anything where horror is juxtapositioned against a coming of age story. I think I love coming of age stories.
Oh, I've got some story here.
Yeah, I feel like it is the classic example of that. Boy's Life is not as much horrific. There's some horrific elements to it by Robert McCammon.
I love that.
I love that like idea of like the loss of innocence, of growing older, of becoming an adult, what that means, and then juxtapositioning that in a horror setting is really awesome.
Well, it's a good thing that I chose some books here that we're going to talk about later that are very much coming of age. Very much.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Because that's also one of my favorite tropes.
Is it? Oh, cool.
Great. Yeah. Okay. But live about Cujo was so much fun. Can't believe we talked for an hour. I can confirm Nikhil's the nicest guy on BookTube.
Oh, thanks, John.
John, that is so awesome, man.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we all got a chance to connect through this. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'll have to get John on my channel someday. Huh?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Hey, how's it, Angel?
Hey, Angel.
And Bad. Oh, wait, first we have Vanessa. Going to subscribe. Good.
Oh, thanks, Vanessa.
That's my friend Bad. Hey, Bad. Let me check out her channel. In the latest video, wow, special effects. Because she's renowned for having almost like this artistic way about her. Like there's a blue screen behind her and she dresses up and she wears a mask thing.
Oh, that's
and it's
cool.
Very, very scary, very spooky, very cool.
Nice. I have to check that out.
Yeah. Okay. Silent Lost is my favorite King book. Honestly, I pretty much love everything King writes. Yeah. I'll have to check out your Cujo live stream. Cujo wrecked me. Yeah, I think it wrecked a lot of people, eh?
Yeah. I needed like a week to process after that book for sure.
Hello. Not bad. Silent Lost is my favorite too. Number 2 of my best books of all time. And Bad Red, hope you're well. Okay. Great minds need to. They're all just saying hello to each other now. My small but dedicated audience.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, we got a blue on Matt. Doing well. Happy to. Okay, let's see. I need to. Okay, so we at the end here. I'm still reading Misery. Awesome. But I want to delve into his short stories next. Okay, recommendations, horror mostly. Okay, I'll start. Let's start with you, and then I'll give my favorite short story collection.
Tough to say. I guess 4 Past Midnight is more novellas than short stories. I would say probably, right? I will say, I really liked, and this is I have to still explore more of his short story collections. Like I haven't read the obvious choices, probably Night Shift and all those ones.
Yeah.
But I loved You Like It Darker, actually, the new one by Stephen King. I felt like it was a return. Yeah, I felt like it was a return to form after, there was his last few books I've really enjoyed, but they're not necessarily like kind of scary. And I felt like right out of the gate, the first short story in that just was incredible. And it had a little bit of the coming of age, and it kind of makes you explore like what defines talent? When do you have it? When, like, what are the events that lead to someone being called talented, and at what cost, what price do they pay? It's just brilliant stuff.
Yeah. Sounds brilliant. And I'm actually going to read that next month. So
awesome.
Nice. That. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because it was a gift from my parents. So I got I actually mentioned that in my last video, my unboxing. So it was a gift. So I'm looking forward to reading it.
Oh yeah.
But I would actually say my favorite is Skeleton Crew. A lot of people choose Night Shift because it's his first, and there's a lot of scary stories in Night Shift. Mm-hmm. But I think he was a little bit raw then still, because it was his first collection. That his writing was just still a little bit raw, unrefined, if you want.
Yeah.
And in Skeleton Crew, it's almost like, in my opinion, terrifying stories, and it's almost like he perfects the craft a bit more. The stories are a bit more refined, but still absolutely terrifying. There's some good ones in there. So I'll go Skeleton Crew. Yeah.
That's
we got a whole lot more. Yeah.
I have a first edition sitting on my shelf in hardcover now. I just got it from like a bookstore, so I'm excited to dive into that one.
Yeah, I saw your Stephen King collection. Very impressive.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
The last few years of collecting. Always fun.
Yeah, Nightmares and Dreams, that is a great collection. Yeah, it's also very good. Thanks to my wife, my biggest fan. I promise you, the guest friend, I'm actually really nice and normal behind the scenes, but very weird on screen.
I love it. I love it.
That is awesome. Yeah. Full Dark. Oh yeah. Under. In the first one, 1922. It's just so dark.
Oh yeah.
And even what's it? Big Driver. Wow, just such a scary story. I think we're losing each other a little bit here.
Right. Yeah.
But then yeah.
Sorry, I was one thing that I loved about Full Dark No Stars was unlike the other ones where unlike other short story collections or even other novels where they are very based in the supernatural and then it's juxtapositioned against the human story, this is all about the things humans do to each other. And I think that's a brilliant, kind of character exploration and like human psyche exploration.
Yeah. And also the tone is dark throughout. I mean, it's pitch black. And as you say, you don't bring in all these there's people are the monsters, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Matt. We're currently reading a book, Burnt Offerings. Yeah, we've actually got a 70s thing going on with all sorts of other booktubers. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do every month. We're going to do a 70s classic horror, and at the end of the month, I think there's about 7 or 8 people involved.
Yeah.
Some pretty big names. Well, some pretty big names, and then we're going to have a screen with Yeah, we're going to talk about that book for the month. And I've just read Burnt Offerings now. I finished it 2 days ago, and it is freaking brilliant.
Really?
Slow burn horror, very slow burn, but reminds me of sort of The Shining, Stephen King. It's like a haunted house story. Don't want to give too much away. But you have haunted house stories, which I don't enjoy, which just involve ghosts. Just ghosts and spooky things trying to drive the people out. This is different. It's almost like a possession thing. And I loved it. Man, I loved it. It's just so good.
I would love to read that. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Burnt Offerings. Okay, Literary Love 1, 2, 3. Hello, Jen. Hello, Jen. Hello, my friend. Well, I hope everyone is doing well today. I'm a little late, but I'm here. You're always welcome, Jen. Okay, Blue Eyed Matt. Thank you guys for the recommendations. Yeah. I need to read more short stories by King. And one of my 225 goals is to read The Dark Tower. Oh, yeah.
2 thumbs up from me.
2 thumbs up.
That I felt like that. How did you feel about The Dark Tower, Cliff? I felt like when I remember when I read it kind of back to back, and it was like it was kind of around the holiday time, so I had a lot of time to. At that time, I wasn't going up north to visit my parents or anything, and so I had a lot of time for solitude, and so that series kind of changed my life. It made me see the world in a different way, honestly.
What's interesting is you see people rate each book very differently.
Yeah.
I've rated on Goodreads every book 5 star.
Yeah.
It changed. It was just so phenomenal. And yes, I could argue that the first 3 books, I love The Gunslinger. A lot of people don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Maybe the first 3 or 4 books were maybe the best. Maybe in book 5, 6, and 7, without giving any spoilers away, it kind of goes off in a tangent, especially with Stephen King himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I love the entire series. It's my best series of all time. Fantasy, horror, anything. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Okay, what we got here? Your haircut. Yeah, your biggest fan. She promised me a haircut today. It's actually about a month overdue, a week overdue.
I'm about 6 months overdue myself.
This is where my sideburns are starting to grow down into my ear. Like, your hair looks cool. If I keep growing mine, maybe it'll copy you.
Keep it going,
Just keep it going.
There's only one way to find out. So.
There's only one way, yeah. Okay, and Jen. And then I love The Gunslinger too, Cliff. Yeah. I actually wanted to ask you, now that you're having a little drink break.
Yeah.
I know it's 9 o'clock in the morning where you are. It's 6 p.m. or coming to 7 p.m. here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, cheers with the coffee.
Cheers.
I actually wanted to ask you, we talked about maybe talking about your booktube journey. Was there something interesting you wanted to say about that in terms of why you started, how you started? And I know you got a music channel as well. We're going to come to that later. Don't worry. Let's not go to that yet. Let's wait for some more people to come in, and we're going to talk about that as well. But let's talk about your booktube journey. I mean, I started in 2022 December, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a year and a half now.
Wow.
Just tell me, and I started because we literally just settled down here.
Yeah.
We moved from Johannesburg. We moved a couple of times, and we were settling down. And I love books. And I bought all my books on bookshelves, and I started discovering BookTube maybe 6 months before that. And I just thought, just do it. This is awesome. Do it. Yeah, it's fun.
That's amazing.
Tell me about your journey.
Yeah. So I actually discovered BookTube in 2019. It was about and it was and this will be tangentially related to the music thing, but I'll talk more extensively about that later.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time I was trying to pitch for a fantasy series, and I saw The Wheel of Time was being adapted. So I really just typed in The Wheel of Time in YouTube to look for more info about the lore. And then I came across Daniel Green's channel, which was the first one. I think he was like at a few thousand subs at the time. Like now he's at like 500,000 or something. I don't know. And so I discovered his channel. I discovered Mike's book reviews. Also, was just a small but growing channel at the time. He
Yeah,
was
I
doing.
like his channel as well. It's gold. I like his channel very
Oh yeah,
much.
it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. I love like the real way he talks about books. And I at that point I was watching BookTube for like hours a day, you know. And then through the pandemic, I was watching it all the time. So it really, I never actually thought I would do it myself at that time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, fast forward like maybe 3 years or so, I just had this bug in my ear, like kind of idea of like, "Ah, I should start one," but you know, doing a composing career where you're making videos for that is hard enough.
Yeah.
And then trying to do two channels at the same time just felt like just too crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, fast forward to this year where I decided I'm going to try to do the things that I felt resistant to and just see what happens, you know, just as kind of a social experiment. And so
Yeah.
I thought to myself, like, I would love to do a booktube channel. I was also feeling burnt out from constantly trying to like promote music or do videos around music. And I was trying to bring back fun in content creation. And so I
Yeah.
thought, you know what? It might take more time to do the booktube thing, but I get the feeling it's going to be a time refunder because I love the community already. I
And
love
the whole thing is it's about enjoyment. It's all about having fun and meeting people and having friends, and that's so much more important than, you know, this whole monetary thing and all that. Yeah, you wait till you're pretty big to get worry about that. But it's just having fun and meeting people. Yeah.
and I found I started looking forward to making content again. I started looking for because there was not the pressure; it was more about community, and I found that that's actually had a huge impact on my music career as well in the last 3 months since I started the channel. Is I've started to bring back some of that fun into
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
too. So it's just been a wonderful transformative experience. Really, I think it's one of those things where you know, watching it for years and then
Yeah.
trying to do your own channel, there's a huge shift in the way you see both reading,
Yeah.
sharing book experiences, and then actually creating content around those things. So I'm just so excited of what the future holds and to be able to do this more and to be able to meet more people. Like that's been such a joy. It's been one of the most fun things in the last few years, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to definitely talk about your music career a bit later.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to very quickly get back because we were doing quite well with this. Is Stephen King. Now, I want you just like very shortly to describe why you love this writer so much. What is it? What is special other writers, in your opinion?
Sure.
And then I'll do my little spiel as well. But oh, lost you for a second. There you're back.
I'm back. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love Stephen King because I think, you know, horror writers often write horror. Fantasy writers often write fantastical stories. You know, what I love about Stephen King is a lot of his books are mishmashes. If there's a horror story, it might be a coming of age story. If there's a different horror story, it actually might be a character exploration of what it means to be a dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's never just on the nose. And then if you kind of peel the layers back even further, then you know if he was doing horror for a while, then he started writing fantasy. Then he started writing historical fiction. He started
And
writing
now he's writing crime. He's writing
yeah,
crime mysteries as well. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know he's the kind of guy who could write about, you know, 50 characters in a town and you understand the motivations and understand, you know, each person. There are no side characters, they're all part of the stage play that he's created.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a wordsmith.
Yeah,
He's a natural born storyteller. And not just, and he's probably the best in terms of writing character and bringing characters to life
yeah,
and writing settings, particularly a small town setting,
yeah.
you know, but he brings settings and characters to life. He's just a natural word wizard, in my opinion. And that's what makes him so popular. And yeah, as you said, he, you know, since his accident, like maybe in the 70s, 80s, probably my favorite eras,
Yeah.
or my favorite decades, because that is horror. And he
Yeah.
really wrote a lot of serious horror.
Totally.
But even then, he changed his stories up and was creative with the ideas. And
Mhm.
but then in the 90s, 2000s, crime, fantasy, all sorts of other stuff that he's written as well. So
Right.
yeah, he doesn't really, right now, you can't put him you can't talk about him as a horror writer anymore. You just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you read the Mr. Mercedes series, it's a crime mystery. Very little horror in there. I look at 11/22/63. Have you read that yet?
It's my favorite. I think it's my favorite standalone Stephen King novel.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. It's in my top 10. It's in my top 10.
Nice. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous novel, eh? Wow.
Incredible. I mean, I'm not even like the biggest into romances in my novel, but in my novels,
That
but
one has a good one.
one of my favorite romance. I was like fully invested in it.
Yeah. Okay, let's load a few more people, and then I want to talk coming of age with you again, because I've got a couple of recommendations for you.
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, Chris.
Hey.
Yay. I haven't forgotten our buddy read next month. Okay. Nikhil, besides horror, what are other genres you enjoy? Yeah, we're going to get to that. That was on my list.
Oh.
But what other kind of books do you enjoy?
I love fantasy. I was reading almost exclusively fantasy, like around maybe 2021, 2022. Just as it was a new genre to me, I'd kind of discovered the Wheel of Time, and then I just went off to the races, reading every fantasy book I could find. I love sci-fi. I love thought-provoking sci-fi. I've been reading the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio, one of the most beautiful character explorations in sci-fi, in my opinion. And recently I've discovered historical fiction, and I am obsessed with that genre. I never knew I would feel that way. I read Shogun. I'm reading Ken Follett's Century Trilogy right now. So I can't wait to read more. Oh, I've been wanting to read that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the books on your. I've watched your reviews on, by the way, the Ken Follett books.
Oh,
I'm definitely going to get hold of them sometime. But where's that? It covers history, right? The history of mankind, pretty much. World wars,
yeah.
right?
It's like years of history. Yeah, like 1900 to about 2000 or so.
This is more focused on the Franklin expedition through the Arctic.
Yeah.
So there's and the ships get trapped in the ice. So it's a lot more focused in on the horror of these men trapped in the ice.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
The historical detail is incredible. Dan Simmons, the historical detail is incredible. But this was my book of the year for 2023. So highly recommend it. Yeah.
I think I'm going to read that during spooky season. I always like to stack my books in October. So that might be the one I'm going to have to check out.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. But it was, and then, okay, let's move on. Hi, Kat, how's it going? Are you also enjoying, and also you enjoy reading horror, but do you enjoy watching horror movies too? And we're going to get to that later. So I don't want to answer that question yes. The answer is yes, right? Thank you. Yeah. But we are going to get to horror movies later, because we're going to talk about horror movies, and we're going to talk about book adaptations, and we're going to talk about things like that as well. So let's just wait for a little bit before we talk about that. But yeah, he's definitely into horror movies.
Definitely, yeah.
In fact, he's got a horror movie coming out. He's part of a horror movie.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It actually just came out. Yeah, last week or this week.
You've been busy. Yeah. Editing blog. Okay. I think writers are writers, but they get pigeonholed into a certain genre. And they often would like to expand to other genres, yeah. And I mean, Stephen King has been writing for decades. In the 70s, he was pigeonholed. 80s, he was pigeonholed as a horror writer. Now he's just a superb storyteller.
Yeah.
I know it sounds cliche, but every time I read King, it feels like spending time with an old friend.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And check out Jen's channel, because she's got a master's in English.
Yeah.
And she did a whole thing about Stephen King.
Right.
From a feminist point of view, and supporting it and some other books as well. So it's a very fascinating things about that. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I've been watching some.
Check it out,
yeah, it's great.
When you get as big as King, you can get away with a little more. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through for that. Love that, Jane. Great for putting it. Yeah, excited for it, Cliff. Yeah, sorry, that was my initial thing about movies. I think. Planning to read The Terror Neck during winter.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a good time to read it. Okay, me too, Jen. Thank you for the kind words and support. Anytime, Jane, anytime. Got an awesome channel. Okay, so I wanted to talk very briefly about something. Talk about other. Okay, I'm going to start, and I want you to see if you can. Okay, let's talk about some recommendations for people that like Stephen King. So if you read this, you read this. So if you read Stephen King, you need to read his son, Nosferatu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's definitely a chip off the old block. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's got his father's talent. He's got his father's skills, and in fact, some people say that he's actually better.
Wow.
And this is my favorite. This is my favorite by him, and it's a perfect book to read over Christmas.
You know,
Christmas.
it's sitting on my shelf actually right now, so I will definitely read it. It's been on my list. I read Heart-Shaped Box, I think, last year, and I loved it. Yeah, great, and it immediately felt very atmospheric and very King-like. So it was kind of fantastic. I've been really looking forward to checking out more of his stuff.
Yeah, no, I would highly recommend Nosferatu. I think it's his best. I also read Horns. Which I was a little bit disappointed with, to be honest. I think that's his weakest. Some people disagree with me, but Nosferatu is just wow. It's a thrill ride. It's really, really good.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then, if you liked it, I'll go with Toad by Mark Morris.
Oh, I've never read that one.
Yeah, and there are some booktubers out there that swear by this, but really, really, really brilliant world building. Also about these 4 kids in a small town, and they're called the Horror Club. And 5 kids. So this other kid joins them, called Toady, and he kind of persuades them to have a seance in this old derelict house, and they summon up this evil, and they have to somehow combat this evil in this town. It's like a coastal town in the kind of off season, so it's everything is like feels like derelict and broken.
Sounds amazing. Yeah.
And then the world building in this in the last third of this book, it just takes off. So it's like you're no longer in this town. I won't say anything more, but it reminds me of it. Definitely reminds me of it. Yeah, so I'll pick up Toady.
All right, I gotta check. That sounds fascinating, actually.
Yeah, and then another Dan Simmons, not The Terror, but Summer of Nights. Also very kind of, and Toady is also very coming of age. We spoke about that earlier, and this is also very much a coming of age, where his children have to battle this evil in a small town. So also keeps off it vibes, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Between that and Toady, I would recommend it for horror coming of age. Yeah,
that's great. I might add that. I feel like you're going to help fill out my TBR for all of October.
yeah. Do you have any recommendations for horror?
I would say Robert McCammon has been a recent. I can't believe I had not discovered him sooner. And for me, the coming of age story, the quintessential one of his is Boy's Life. I think it's a masterful book. It is one of the few books that has made me choked up with emotion at the end. It's to me a perfect book. And then I read Swan Song, and it's kind of like a little prescient of the times, the fear about a nuclear war and everything like that.
Yeah.
But it's really a character exploration of what happens afterwards, and the supernatural elements of it, the horror elements. I mean, it's just.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite novel of all time.
Really? Oh yeah.
And Boy's Life is also in my top 10. It's 7 or 8 or something. I love both those novels, and I've actually been exploring a bit more of Robert McCammon.
Yeah.
I'm yet to find a book that comes close to those two. I'm sorry.
I feel
they're just phenomenal. Yeah.
Was there any one of Robert McCammon's for you that like came the closest of the ones you've read so far?
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Not really. No.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of 4 stars.
Yeah.
But just those 2 that have stood out, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
There was one about this medicine man or something, this, a shapeshifter. I can't remember what it's called. But I haven't found anything close to that. But
Okay.
I'm still looking. I'm still looking. Yeah.
I've been hearing great things about the Matthew Corbett series. I think that's more historical fiction with horror elements or something like that, if I remember.
Yeah. Speak the Nightbird is the first one, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I'd love to get hold of that.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. And any other recommendations? Other horror authors that I might not have heard of?
I was trying to think. I'm such a creature of habit. I've been on a quest to read every Stephen King novel, so I'm like 45 deep right now. And I've been kind of trying to work on his and Robert McCammon's almost exclusively lately.
Yeah.
But I actually really want to explore more of the horror genres. So like Dan Simmons, one I really want to read. I've been hearing about his books for the longest time. Who did I read? Adam Neville.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm reading my first book this month. It's the next book I'm reading. It's actually The Ritual, Adam Neville. So that's my next book. I'm reading a short story right now. I haven't really done anything today.
Yeah.
But I'm reading a short story called Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. Apparently it packs a punch. And the next book I'm reading after that is going to be The Ritual by Adam Neville.
Fantastic. I've heard that book. I haven't actually read that one yet, but I've heard that one and Last Days, I think, are 2 of his best from what I understand. And I read The House of Small Shadows, which I would say like the first 3 quarters was just fantastic and atmospheric in the build up. And he really kind of knows how to write the psychology of fear, whether it be rational or irrational. It feels real to the reader. And I would say the last like quarter didn't really land for me personally, but it was enough of I like the first 3 quarters enough to go. I read many more of his books. So Adam Neville. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start on my Adam Neville journey just now. Hopefully tomorrow with The Ritual.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to some comments. We've got quite a lot.
Nice. Oh yeah.
I don't know. Okay, let's just check here. I watched Abigail last night and wasn't impressed. Also wasn't let down. Somewhere in the middle. Abigail, have you heard of that?
Yeah, I have. Only because I've been scouring the Apple TV to see where our film, the one I scored, Dead Whisperer, was charting in a relationship, and I know Abigail was close to the top, so it seemed like people really liked it.
Okay.
But I haven't watched.
You haven't what?
I haven't watched it myself.
Yeah. Have you read anything by Tabitha King? I should see kind of books, but it's weird. Nobody talks about. I don't think she writes horror. This is Stephen King's wife.
Yeah.
I don't think she writes horror. I think she's a good author in her own. But I don't think I would read her because it kind of fits into another genre, possibly. Mm-hmm. But I haven't really looked at that.
I haven't either, but I would be very interested in exploring, actually.
Yeah, could be interesting. Joe Hill is also amazing. My favorite is Hardship Box.
Nice.
Still have to read The Fireman, yes, and his comic books. Well, I've got The Fireman right here, and I said on my TBR, or no, not so much my TBR, my pile of possibilities, my huge pile of possibilities. I said that I might get to The Fireman. I'm not going to get to The Fireman this month or even next month. It's a big book.
Yeah.
But I will get to it. And maybe, Kat, we can do a buddy read. Fireman sometime. Yeah. And we got Basket Full of Heads by Joe Hill. It's a fun graphic novel. Yeah, we're a little bit short of graphic novels in South Africa, unfortunately. I had that one, Christine. have The Vessel by Neville on my shelf, with my first Neville, but I think the movie The Ritual is based on his book.
Right.
Love the movie. So is The Vessel related to The Ritual?
I don't think so. It might be a different standalone or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
John says, I feel a Bernard Cornwell historical fiction buddy read in our future, Nikhil.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that's an author I've had on my list for ages, and I've been trying to decide between like the Saxon stories and the Arthurian tales. I forget what those ones are called. But yes, definitely. 2 thumbs up. Sign me up.
Yeah. I'm actually already doing a buddy read with Chris next month. Hey, Chris.
Awesome.
Okay. I brought it up before, but I love The Reddening by Adam Neville. Highly recommend it. I think it's one of his better ones as well. Have you read that one?
I haven't read it, actually. My wife, Linda, has listened to it in audio, and she absolutely loved it. So she's been it as well. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think, and it says, yes, Cliff, buddy reading a Fireman would be great. Okay. Might be like 1 or 2 books I get through that month. Fireman is huge.
Yeah, it's a massive tome. Yeah.
I'll get through more than 2, don't worry. Okay, now we can finally talk about movies.
Cool.
So have you got any good horror movies that you really enjoy?
You know,
First of all, before we talk about your book adaptations and maybe your horror movie, your favorite King adaptations, or your horror book adaptations that you really enjoy.
Oh yeah, it's so hard to say. I would say, you know, first of all, I wish there were more horror book adaptations out there in terms of certain titles by certain authors. I know Swan Song is being developed right now.
Let's just hope they do it properly.
I know.
Please do it properly.
It needs to be a limited series or something. But I would say for King, like, I loved Misery. I think that's one of the best adaptations. Kathy Bates.
Misery. Yeah, Misery. Yeah.
Phenomenal. The Shining, of course, Kubrick. You know, it's very different. So I feel like that's an interesting one because it's very different to how the book is tonally, the character that's explored and everything in Jack Torrance. But I feel like in its own right, it's just great.
Yeah. Do you have a preference between the book or movie? That's a difficult one because I think both are masterpieces in their own right.
Yeah.
The one on screen, the one, the book.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to judge them and to compare them because, as you said, they're very different.
Yeah.
But Kubrick did a masterful job with the movie, even though King didn't like it himself.
Right.
I think he did a fantastic job, and I think the book itself is just, I find it terrifying.
Yeah.
I love it.
For me, you know, I watched the movie so many times growing up, and I read the book actually only a couple years ago. So I had the movie in my mind always when I was reading it, and so that also, you know, I wish I had actually read the book before I watched the movie, for that reason. And I think the movie will always have a special place in my heart for that reason. But I really enjoyed the book as well. It's in my top 10. So.
Yeah. And apparently, a lot of people enjoy. It's very underrated as well. It's Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, and I think one of the reasons why it doesn't get the love it gets, or that it deserves, is because people were expecting kind of The Shining Part 2. And instead they got something completely different. But you know, Dr. Sleep is a very, very good novel. Excellent novel. So yeah, if you haven't read that yet, give it a go.
That's actually on my spooky season list. I've been waiting to watch the Mike Flanagan adaptation. You know, I wanted to read it first before watching, so I think that's going to be my double dose of Dr. Sleep in October.
Spooky season coming just around the corner. And then I think my favorites, I've got 2 favorites besides what you've spoken about. I think my favorite movie, and it's actually in my top 3 movies of all time, is The Shawshank Redemption, based on the short story based on the short story Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. And I just love that movie. Just
Yeah.
so powerful. And then I also enjoy what is it? Stand by Me.
Oh yeah.
Also based on The Body, which I think is in different seasons, right? Yeah. So I love that book. I love that book.
So,
I love that movie as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Cliff, the adaptation of 11/22/63. Actually, it was on
Okay.
limited series. There's a couple of plot lines that really deviated from the book, but I understand why in a TV series it would need to be there, because like basically, not to spoil anything, but there's like a side character that's in the TV series that is kind of prominent but doesn't exist in the book, and it's like, why would you just add
Okay.
But in the book, so much of the inner monologue is a huge part of the story, because Jake Epping's journey is a very much a solo journey. So you couldn't really have that on television. So you need someone to bounce those ideas off of. So I thought that like the casting was actually pretty great. I think that's an
So
underrated
it's a mini series, right?
miniseries. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I must actually get hold of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're talking about the casting, sorry?
Yeah, no, I thought the casting for Sadie, for instance, was really good. I forget the main actor, James Franco, I think, was in it.
Okay.
And yeah, and I when I first heard about that casting, I was like, I felt a little iffy about it, but actually he does a great job in it, and I thought that adaptation is quite good.
Yeah. I can guess who James Franco is with the kind of look that he has.
Yeah, yeah,
Bad guy. One of the bad guys.
right.
Maybe the dad.
Actually,
Maybe dad.
he played Jake Epping in it.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, I would have never.
I would never have thought that.
Yeah,
But okay. Well, he's a good actor.
yeah. He does a good
I'd
job.
love to know who plays the bad guys, but I'll watch the miniseries, I think. So we don't give any spoilers or talk about the movie too much.
Totally.
But those of you that haven't read 11/22/63, powerful book.
Really is.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good. How do you feel about Poe, Gil?
Oh yeah, I remember reading a lot of Poe in middle school, and
Yeah.
it would be interesting actually, because I loved the Telltale Heart when I read it. I loved the Raven, I think, and I would actually read more of Poe now as an adult, because it's like you read these things as a kid and you get the surface level of a story.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily understand all the nuance, and I would like to actually read more Poe now. So that's a great reminder, Kat.
Yeah. Because Kat's crazy about Edgar Allan Poe. She's done
Oh.
any number of Edgar Allan Poe movies, videos.
Yeah.
She might even have some, Kat, correct me if I'm wrong, don't you have some kind of a readathon or something? I might be wrong. But she has got a great readathon about zombies that comes, Zombiethon.
Really?
She'll have to start for that next year, yeah.
I can check that out.
And we've got, I asked this of every horror nerd, but what was the first thing of any media that stuck with you and scared you? I'm going to start the Damien Omen 2.
Oh, nice.
When I was about 9 or 10, and my parents were out, and we used to watch horror because I was living in England at the time. So the channels there's no parental friendly button. You know what I mean? They had these late night horror movies. So my brothers and I would sit there and watch Omen 2. And there's a scene with a woman. Have you seen the movie?
I actually haven't seen Omen 2. I've only seen the original.
Scene with all I'll say is a scene with a woman and a crow,
Mm-hmm.
and a huge truck. And the crow is sort of, no, you got to watch. It's really good.
All right.
But that was my first confrontation. Like, I think I must have been 9 or 10 with horror media, with movies.
Yeah.
And then I watched all sorts of other stuff. I think I watched one that I really, really shouldn't have watched. And I think maybe I wish that I could unsee it. And that was Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, but I've heard of it.
You don't want to see that one. You don't want to see that one. But I don't think I watched all of it, but I watched part. So my introduction into horror was movies when I was very young. And some of them were great, like kind of the spooky, black and white stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. And
For
yourself?
for me, I think it was kind of an indirect experience where I was 8 years old and I went to go downstairs into the family room. My grandparents were visiting and I wanted to sleep downstairs with them. And they were watching The Exorcist. And I made the mistake of trying to go to sleep there while those sounds are blaring on the screen. And I was so scared. I literally thought I was dying. Like, I remember that feeling. It was so visceral. I'm hearing all this like chaos and screaming and stuff. And I have my blanket on my head and I was just like freaking out. And somehow I fell asleep. And the next day I woke up and I was also intrigued in a way. And then I remember the books that I was reading around, maybe a couple years after that was the Fear Street series by R.L. Stine, which was more of like an adult version of the stuff he was doing in Goosebumps.
Yeah.
That stuff scared the heck out of me. Like, I remember I was...
Exorcist, I can remember The Exorcist. It's freaking terrifying.
Oh,
but I'm not really into possession stuff, so yeah. Go on about R.L. Stine.
Yeah. I was reading the Fear Street trilogy, which was kind of like a more grown-up version of the stuff he was exploring in Goosebumps. And I remember that stuff would keep me up at night, like the closet door that's slightly ajar at night, like that stuff. Like that would keep me up.
Yeah. No, some terrifying stuff there.
And now my wife and I religiously watch at least a couple horror movies a week. If not, there was a period of time where during the pandemic, we about a year and a half of watching one horror movie a day every day. So we are much aficionados in this place.
No, we watch every now and then, but since BookTube, I kind of sit and do my BookTube stuff, and she watches Netflix. But we really should spend a week, like quality time, watching a movie.
Oh,
that'd be good. Yeah. But last night we didn't want to do anything, to be honest. Yeah. Michael Jackson's Thriller video, when he turns around at the end and that Vincent Price laugh.
Right.
Oh, I need to tell you about Michael Jackson's Thriller video. When I was a primary school teacher, we used to have these school plays, and the teachers would put an act on, and the teachers decided to do that video. And we practiced for months and months, and we had the costume, everything.
Wow.
And we got a standing ovation from the kids because obviously we made it serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had the whole moves and everything. And at the end, the deputy did this turnaround thing, like he's talking about. It was very cool. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. Okay. And we're going to get back to videos just now. Really enjoyed Dr. Sleep. Both the book and the movie. Yeah. That's worth picking up. I like the film Secret Window. Oh, yeah.
Johnny Depp.
From the short, Johnny Depp. Secret Window, Secret Garden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good choice, William. Glad to hear you enjoyed the 11. I liked it too. And Franco was a great choice, Jay. I'm not going to ask you because I want to do it myself. I want to watch this now. But and I'm not going to let my wife watch it because she hasn't read the book yet.
Oh,
yeah. But I'm very interested in knowing who that dad was. It kills.
Yeah.
That was a group. That's one scene that I would consider real horror.
Yeah,
well, more like a thriller, but I want to see who plays those parts.
Yeah, right.
And also the obvious part of JFK thing. Yeah. I love Poe just a little. Laugh out loud. I have a Poe shrine and a life-size Poe cut out in my home office. Just a little. Okay. Finish 11 minutes of my video compared to another book. Okay. Resurrection Day.
I got to check that one out. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Resurrection Day. I'll look that up. Never heard of that. Join me in January for Nevermore, a week with Edgar Allan Poe. There we go. There's a readathon. So in January, you want to read Poe?
That sounds great. I would love that. Yeah, absolutely.
I love your Poe cut out. Okay. Exorcist movie freaked me out. Yeah.
It's still as scary as ever. Yeah.
I love that, Cliff. How fun. Yeah, when we did the music video. Yes,
Yeah.
kids loved it. They loved it. We came back for encores afterwards. The kids couldn't believe how well we pulled that off.
That's so
Because
cool.
remember, the dance is actually quite choreographed, eh?
Yeah.
The music and the dance and the moves and everything. If you watch the Michael Jackson Thriller video, so it's, you know,
It's really,
it's really, yeah. When I was 4 or 5, 10 inches, the Incredible Hulk terrified me. Yeah, I remember Lutheran turning into that. I'm behind the scenes, shaking, terrified. Okay. It's definitely a horror nerd trope mostly.
My first concert was Iron Maiden, Dio, and Motorhead.
Oh,
And I'm a big metal fan, so yeah.
I used to be a huge metal fan when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like I'm 53 now. Come on. And my wife taught me. I still love Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all that kind of thing. But when I was a student, I used to be into good. I used to be into Megadeth and Slayer and Sepultura. Actually, my wife used to listen to Sepultura. I think one of her favorite albums at the time was Roots. I don't know if you heard of Roots.
I haven't. No,
this is death metal. This is trash. This is thrash metal.
Yeah.
I don't know how I ever got through to university listening to that. But then I also love Iron Maiden still.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of, but it's more like a kind of hard rock metal. It's not
melodic progressive metal almost.
Yeah. I still listen to a lot of music. Okay, we were talking about movies now and movie adaptations. Now we're going to go in, and I'm turning it over to you. So you're going to tell us about book adaptations, your latest project, and it's actually really exciting. People need to listen to this because, and you got a horror movie out now. I know you got a horror movie out, and you did the score for the horror movie, right?
I did the score for the horror movie, yeah. So basically, books and music have kind of gone hand in hand for me. So in 2019, when I was kind of reading about Wheel of Time and I started reading the books, an idea came to me to pitch for the series, not because I had the credits at that time to really actually legitimately pitch, but it was more of an experiment to go like, how I wanted to get better at pitching. I wanted to get better at composing. And so I said, if I write a musical love letter to this series, how would I pitch it to Amazon? And so I started sharing it with the fans. They started sharing it. And Tor.com did a whole article on it. I had recorded this orchestra video of the orchestra playing this Wheel of Time theme that I wrote for the series. And it came to the attention of the composer, Lorne Balfe. And so he hired me to be a composer on all his TV shows. So I was a composer on His Dark Materials and then the Wheel of Time.
Materials, that's big stuff, eh?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. So I was on season 3 of His Dark Materials, and I wrote like a bunch of. He would have me write on every episode, so to kind of establish a musical through line. So I wrote some additional music on every episode of season 3, and then I wrote a bunch on the Wheel of Time season 2. And actually, he, because I knew all the lore already from reading those books and stuff, and so I would even. When I would email him cues are like musical pieces that go in these scenes for approval, I would mention, hey, I wrote this given the fact that this thematic thing is going to take place in season 3. So maybe we tease it in season 2 and stuff. And so finally he made me the project lead of Wheel of Time for season 2. So it was just an incredible experience working with the team and working with the executives at Amazon and stuff. And so it was a dream come true. And left working with Lorne, and I've been working on my own now. So I kind of used a lot of the lessons I learned from that team of recording exotic instruments and using that as world building, because like a lot of Wheel of Time was that, writing themes for different characters, different locations, and then of course using different instruments from different parts of the world and stuff. So when I started working on the score for Dead Whisper, it's a horror film. It's an atmospheric horror film that's very much a throwback.
Dead Whisper, and is it out now in movie theaters?
It's in select theaters, and it's also on VOD, so you can get it on Amazon Prime and also Apple TV Plus, and I think you could probably get it on the YouTube. Like you can purchase or rent a video. So it's out now, and it's an atmospheric horror that takes place in Cape Cod, and it's about a guy who's grieving the loss of his child. And it's like, what would you do if you had the chance to reunite with your child again? So he gets taken to the mysterious island where people only speak in whispers. It's a very atmospheric horror film that's reminiscent of The Shining or Rosemary's Baby, that kind of a slow burn.
Yeah, slow burn.
And a character study at the same time. And but it also has some visual aesthetics that might remind you of Hereditary or like the elevated horror films of the modern era. So it was a blast. Like, we recorded a 30-piece string section in Macedonia. We recorded a woodwind player who played on the Wheel of Time, actually. And we recorded conch shells, death whistles, Mayan death whistles, all sorts of crazy stuff. We had the singer from the Wheel of Time, the featured vocalist from the Wheel of Time, sang a bunch of stuff on it. And then we had a percussionist who did a bunch of work on Netflix's Hellraiser. He did a lot of the weird sound.
Oh, okay.
And so we recorded in his percussion studio, and it's like a musical playground. He has all these different drums and Mayan shakers and stuff. And so we recorded a bunch of sounds there, and that became the impetus of the score. So I was really grateful to have, the budget to actually record live musicians, because that's when you get down to the nitty gritty and you can really like build worlds from it. So to do that in a horror film is like a nice, unique experience. So
I mean, is it pretty much, were you in charge? So were you in charge of this horror film in terms of composing?
Yeah, exactly. So
you were overseeing everything.
Right. Yeah. So I wrote all the music for it, and then it would be my job to kind of figure out, okay, what parts could be live recorded, what doesn't need to be live recorded. Let's do a percussion session, and then go to the percussion session, work with the percussionist, and design sounds together. It's like I would ask him, why don't you try rubbing them out of this, on the drum head, and just let's get a few of those, and then let's get the shaker moving at this tempo. And then let's do a double time one. And then I would have all these pieces I could kind of start processing and putting into different places. And I worked with a great team called Joy Music House, which is, they work on a lot of big kind of films and TV series, but in the orchestration side. Because, when you're working on a film, you have I wrote like 57 minutes of music for it. And we had to write, record, and produce it all in 6 weeks. So, and I was working on Wheel of Time as well at the same time. So it was pretty hectic. And so they kind of help with the production side of like, let's get the notes of this on the player stand so that players can play it properly. Let's figure out together how to run the session. So it's like, let's record just the string melody in one pass. Let's record the kind of low grading strings in another pass. Then we can mix it differently. So a lot of the technical aspects of planning a scoring session. So
cool. It's super cool. I got some people asking your name again. Hang on.
Oh yeah.
And Vanessa's saying I love Slayer and Megadeth still. Serious headbanger. I think, what was the one Slayer album that I had that I really enjoyed? Rain in Blood.
Rain in Blood.
Yeah.
Also South of Heaven, great album.
Yeah. I'm afraid, Vanessa, my wife has chilled me out a little bit. I've never seen The Wall, Pink Floyd. Yeah, that's that's a bit of a mind trip of a movie, eh?
Yeah.
The Wall was freaky. Bob Geldof was brilliant. There's one scene where he does his eyebrows. You just have to watch it. Remember that scene where he shaves everything?
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
What instruments do you play?
So I grew up playing piano actually, and then I learned guitar in college and drums. You can see an electronic drum kit behind me and bass and stuff. And I played in bands for a while before I switched to composing. So a lot of writing for strings and a lot of the instruments that I don't play myself has been an exploration of talking to a lot of players, learning how to play it without actually playing it. What kind of sounds would, what kind of ways of playing would elicit certain sounds so you can write for the instrument. So it's always kind of a unique challenge when you're doing something like that.
Yeah. Because my wife wants to learn the piano. Well, she can play the piano a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
The movie sounds great. What was the name again?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's called Dead Whisper. Dead Whisper.
Dead Whisper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people, right? I'm going to look that up. Look that up.
I hope
Yeah.
you get a chance to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Metallica, Slayer, Opeth, Cataclysm. I'm 48 and still banging.
Awesome.
Yeah. We live in a peaceful little seaside village. I don't think anyone around here would appreciate that. Yeah, I still love Metallica. No, I still love some Metallica, but you have to really be in the mood.
Totally.
And in fact, I love, one of my favorite bands is Black Sabbath.
Oh yeah.
That's more like, you know,
Yeah. I got
it's not so much that high tempo. It's like hard. Yeah, how do you describe it? It's metal, but they're like the godfathers of metal, really. Yeah.
Interesting because Ozzy always talks about how his biggest influence was John Lennon and the Beatles. And when you listen to when you listen to Black Sabbath, it's like there's like a plodding doom metal aspect to it, but then his voice is very melodic, and it's like if you listen to it in a different context, it's like almost Beatlesque melodies over the top of it. It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Then you got that bass, and
oh yeah,
I love it. I used to drive my wife crazy. I'd get in the mood at about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and I'd start playing Black Sabbath.
Nice.
And I'd stop until like 2, 3 in the morning. I'd listen to just over and over again. Love it.
What's your favorite Black Sabbath album?
Yeah. I like Paranoid.
Nice.
Very much. I like those. I like the early ones. Black Sabbath.
That's great.
And Paranoid is good, but I think the first one, Black Sabbath.
Nice.
Is very, yeah.
I think for me, Bloody Sabbath was my favorite one because
Sabbath is very. I love Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
I love War Pigs. I love War Pigs. I love Iron Man. Oh, that's been a little while since I've listened to it. I need to listen to it again now. But I'm too busy watching booktube videos.
Case in point, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cat loves Metallica.
Nice.
Yeah. Great minds. Still love Metallica. Yeah. Yeah, we both love Metallica, but we just can't play it too loud here, so you're gonna be a little bit more careful.
Master of Puppets is like a masterpiece album. They also the album that they did in those first like 6 albums or so was like a quantum leap forward. You know, you think about what was the first album called? Kill 'Em All. And
yeah.
Huge step up. Master Puppets, huge step up. And Justice for All. You know, it's like
I'm trying to think of the one which is the one with Ride the Lightning on?
Ride the Lightning, actually.
Which one is that? That is Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
I love that track. It's so cool.
Okay.
And in fact, I think it was a Woodstock 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they played Ride the Lightning at that Woodstock. So it was Woodstock 1990 something, and Metallica came on, and they played Ride the Lightning. Oh my word! Look it up.
Oh, I got that one.
Just very foul mouthed at the beginning, incredibly foul mouthed. But who cares? Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Awesome.
Some of their live stuff is very, very good.
Oh yeah, there's the famous clip of I think they played in was it in the USSR at the time or something, 1989. They did Enter Sandman, and they played it in front of like 1.4 million people. It was insane.
Oh, wow.
It's like a yeah.
Such a great group, Anita. Yeah, it seems like we've got a whole bunch of metalheads watching us.
Yeah. I think like
so Black Sabbath will always be it'll always be my baby. I don't know why. There's something about Black Sabbath. And it's slow, but it's like heavy and like
it's like then you have songs like Planet Caravan, which is like just so out there.
Which is just beautiful acoustic kind of Going to see Kitty in Dallas, Texas next month. First metal concert. Yeah, enjoy it. I haven't heard of Kitty. Have you heard of Kitty?
I haven't actually. No, I have to check them out.
Okay. I've had Master of the Puppets in my car CD player for the last 3 years. It's not stuck. Just love listening to it every day.
It's great. Oh yeah,
Battery is one of my favorites. Yeah.
definitely.
Crown of Thorns is brilliant. Yeah. And my wife loves what's it? Ione. Someone Ione. No. Who was the one? Who besides Ozzy Osbourne? There was another vocalist that went
Oh,
solo. Oh, Ronnie James Dio. Yeah.
yeah.
There's one song. She's going to have to remind me because I can't remember it. There's one song by Ronnie James Dio that you have to listen to. It is phenomenal.
Is it Children of the Sea?
Children of the Sea. No, it is a very good one, but it's not the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
She'll tell me now, I'm sure. Ronnie James Dio, baby.
Yeah, love him.
DC and Disturbed, yeah. Go to that.
I went to Ronnie James Dio's funeral actually here in LA. They at the Forest Lawn. He passed, and like thousands of people showed up, and it was just yeah. Oh,
yeah. Mr. Crowley.
So good. So good. Roads.
Fantastic. Talking about Disturbed, didn't they do
Did they do a cover?
They did a cover of Hello Darkness, My Old Friend. Was it Disturbed? Hello Darkness, My Old Friend.
Yeah, it was like
from the
song, right?
Sorry, say it again.
I think it was the Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah. They did a cover, right? I think it was them. Yeah. It's actually bloody good. Okay.
Oh yeah, God.
Yeah, Sound of Silence. And then there was someone who did a cover of, okay, my wife hates this band because they're pretty dark, but I thought it was a very good cover of that country singer, Hurt.
Oh,
I hurt myself today. 9 Inch Nails. Yeah.
Why? No, that's blasphemy. They made a movie about it. Walk the Line. What was his name?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan, but I love that song Hurt. I love the song Hurt.
Incredible. Yeah. Johnny.
Yeah.
There you go.
Johnny Cash. Yeah. But the 9 Inch Nails version is just brutal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what we call winging it. Something Garfunkel, yeah. Hurt, yeah. Korn does a few good covers. Look at that. Cat didn't know you were a huge metalhead. I see. Another thing is you guys have access to all those bands there. We don't have access to them, so we kind of lose track because a lot of metal you need to see live,
right?
Like hard rock and metal. It's not something that just constantly play by the sea. It's going to disturb everyone. If you go to a concert, that's great.
Yeah.
Love both versions. Yeah, both versions are very good. Come on, Stargazer. Well done.
That's
Ronnie James Dio. People, if you are a metalhead, Ronnie James Dio Stargazer blew my mind.
Yep.
Brilliant.
That outro is, in my opinion, the greatest outro of all time. Period. Like,
yeah.
In fact, interesting thing about Rainbow, the band that Dio was in with Richie Black, Stargazer, they were at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, which is down the street from me, and they were there, like they were really drunk and they were talking about starting a band together, and they're like, "What should we call it?" So they named it after the Rainbow Bar and Grill.
Wow, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. I don't even understand. You live in California, hey?
Yeah, in LA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Stargazer, people, you have to listen to Stargazer. After this show is finished, if you haven't heard Stargazer, go and listen. I think it's about 10 minutes long, 7 minutes long.
7 minutes, yeah, so something like that, yeah.
And the first, it's brilliant. Yeah. Metalhead forever.
Nice.
Downward Spiral is one of my favorite albums. Yeah, I love it. My wife can't stand 9 Inch Nails. They're a little bit too much for her. Rammstein was one of the coolest concerts I went to. So much fire. I think the heaviest that I've ever been to is Smashing Pumpkins, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
It was more. That's more grungy, indie kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Alternative rock. But I went with my brother, and it was raining, and no one cared. And the band, and Billy Corgan, that's his name, and he just carried on playing another half an hour, and everyone was wet, muddy, and just crowd went ballistic. It was in the Cape Winelands, so dirt roads to get there and everything. And it was the most amazing. We had Golden Circle tickets, so we were right in the front there. And I loved Smashing Pumpkins at the time. I loved them. So they carried on for like another half an hour afterwards, just because the crowd was like keeping it.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. And then it used to be Red Hot Chili Peppers as well, but I've kind of grown out of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
Agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Rammstein. Oh yeah, that's probably my wife's favorite metal band.
Oh,
So
cool.
she actually learned all the words of Mutter,
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah.
So she actually learned German so that she could hear what the song was saying.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And makes everything epic. Yeah. Prince halftime show, American football. No, seriously, there was just mud. Okay, there were refreshments as well that had a part in all of that, but it was just so much fun. Oh, it was so much fun. Okay. I don't know, guys, unless you got some other exciting stuff to tell us. Yeah. All I can say to you is just good luck with that film and your composing. It's absolutely wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
Just keep on reading King. I've hit about 60 something now. You gotta catch up. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm planning on reading one a month until I finish. That's kind of my goal.
Yeah.
At least.
But that's kind of what I'm doing now. Only problem is that I'm halfway through the month and there's still books I need to read. I want to read Ritual, a couple of other stuff I want to read, and then Lacey's story. I'm kind of putting it off because I'm not sure how I'm going to relate to that. Have you read that one?
I've read that one. I think there were some great elements of it. There were some things that I thought I wish I could have been done better, but the exploration of marriage I think was fantastic.
Okay, so you think I might enjoy it?
I think so. I think if you like Rose Madder, if you've read Bag of Bones,
yeah,
it's in that kind of zone.
Feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll read it after the Ritual, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got everyone on music now. That's all right. I saw Slayer once at a festival, and they started raining blood, and it started raining. It was epic.
I heard about that.
Okay. I love meeting you, Nikhil. I'll see you on your channel.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you, Kat. Thanks for chiming in here.
Yeah. Speaking of epic, it's been epic having these conversations with you guys. Thanks, Matt.
Likewise, Matt.
Awesome having you on the audience. So, guys, I'm actually going to say let's chat a little bit afterwards.
Sure.
Let's just say hi. Yeah. I'm just going to say, guys, thank you so much. You guys are always awesome. So much fun to have you on the chat with us and converse with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Cliff. It's just it's a real treat to be able to chat with you all.
No, it's absolutely perfect. We'll do it again sometime, maybe from your side, so you can talk.
Yeah,
that'd
be lovely. Yeah.
Hoping another terrific night. Bye, everyone. We're going to say bye, everyone. Bye, guys.
Bye.
We're going to go in 5, 4. You know that quick movie reference?
Which one is that?